What if I said your life could be entirely different just 30 days from now? Not by coincidence, not through luck, but because of what you choose to do. A single month. That's all it takes to change pace, reset your behavior patterns, and regain the drive you lost along the way. Too many people let years go by waiting for the right time. They wait for inspiration to hit like magic. But here's reality: success doesn't delay for you. Growth won't approach on its own, it stands still until you pursue it. Let's be clear, transformation isn't far off or difficult to reach. It's built one day at a time, through simple, consistent steps. You don't need a master plan from day one. You don't need to hit perfection. You just need to commit and show up daily for the next 30 days. That's all. You didn't start this because you're content. You're here because some part of you knows you're meant for more. A stronger version of yourself already exists, but it won't arrive through hopes or dreams. It shows up when you get clear, when you stay disciplined, when you take action. This isn't about trying to do everything. It's about doing the few things that matter most, with purpose and with consistency. Picture waking up 30 days from now with habits that stick, sharper concentration, and belief that doesn't waver. That's not a fantasy that's within reach. Stick with me. Over the next few minutes, you'll get a focused 30-day strategy that has the power to redirect your entire life, one habit, one choice at a time. Let's begin. Number 1. Change. The way you see yourself. Before you can change your results, you need to update how you view yourself. That's where real transformation begins, not with your habits, but with your self-image. If you still think of yourself as the same person, holding on to old behaviors, outdated thoughts, and the same limits, even the best strategy won't stick. That's why we start here: clarity. Who exactly do you intend to become over the next 30 days? I'm not talking about vague goals like "I want to improve" or "I want to be more successful." I mean precise, detailed, non-negotiable identity upgrades. Do you want to be someone who sticks to a schedule, wakes up early, and finishes what they start? Do you want to live clean, move with energy, and make decisions without second-guessing? Then define it. Write it down. Picture it clearly. Let it become real in your mind before it becomes real in your life. This isn't about pretending to be someone else. It's about uncovering the person you were meant to be, the one buried under fear, distraction, and excuses. That version of you already exists. You just haven't claimed it yet. Starting today, you'll begin to act like that person now. When the alarm goes off, you get up. When resistance shows up, you respond with effort. When old habits try to pull you back, you remind yourself who you've chosen to become. These next 30 days aren't just about actions. They're about identity, becoming more focused, more deliberate, more in control. This isn't a test run. This is a rewrite of who you are. So define that new version. Be clear, be direct, say it out loud if you have to. Because once you know who you're stepping into, every other decision becomes easier. You stop drifting. You start aiming. Your energy syncs with your direction. This is the first and most important shift you'll make. Without it, you're just reacting. With it, you're moving with power, purpose, and precision. Choose who you are. Declare it. Then let the next 30 days confirm it. Number 2. Eliminate the old habits. You can't build a different future while dragging the past along with you. Trying to construct a new life on top of outdated routines is like planting seeds in soil full of weeds. No matter how hard you try, the old growth keeps choking the new. That's why this 30-day shift doesn't begin with adding new things. It begins with subtracting what no longer works. What routines are keeping you locked in place? What behaviors quietly pull your progress backward? Is it scrolling endlessly without purpose? Is it hitting snooze until you're behind before the day even begins? Is it skipping meals, skipping workouts, or speaking to yourself in a way that drains you? You likely already know the answer. The real question is whether you're ready to stop defending it, because nothing will shift until you interrupt the old loop. And that requires honesty. It means recognizing that some of your daily actions, while familiar, are not helping you move forward. Letting go won't feel easy. Comfort is sticky even when it's holding you back. But every outdated habit you release opens space for something stronger to take its place. So here's your move. Choose 3 habits that clearly do not serve you. Write them down plainly without excuses. Then identify a direct replacement for each one. If you usually scroll at night, replace that time with a book that sharpens your perspective. If you skip your morning routine, anchor your day with one non-negotiable task that brings clarity. This isn't just about cutting, it's about upgrading. And once you prove that you can break even one cycle, momentum builds. You realize you're not trapped, you're in control. And that shift in agency creates fuel. You feel lighter, more focused, more capable. Don't wait until everything feels perfect to begin. Don't wait until you feel like it. Start now before the old habits try to pull you back in. No overthinking, no internal debate. Just a simple rule: if it weakens you, it doesn't belong in your next 30 days. This isn't about chasing perfection. It's about making room for progress. Every time you walk away from a behavior that limits you, you reinforce a message. I don't live there anymore. You're not the same person who needed those habits to cope. You've outgrown them, so clear them out. You don't need a clean past. You need a clean start. And it begins right here. Number 3. Design your daily blueprint. Change doesn't happen by accident. It's the result of intentional design. If you want this next month to actually move your life forward, you'll need a daily system, something stable enough to rely on when your motivation fades. Think of it like constructing a building. Without a clear blueprint, each day feels improvised. You're reacting to whatever shows up instead of guiding your direction. That's where most people lose consistency. They wake up unclear, float through the day, and end up frustrated by the lack of progress. We stop that pattern now. A strong life is built from solid days, and solid days begin with predictable structure. This is the time to build yours. You don't need a massive schedule packed with tasks. You need clarity. You need rhythm. You need a few anchor habits that you return to, especially on the hard days. Begin with your mornings. That first hour sets the pace, so protect it. Whether you stretch, review your goals, journal, or just sit in silence, make that time yours. Don't hand it over to your phone, to notifications, or to yesterday's mental residue. Set your tone or something else will. Then look at the rest of your time. When do you do focused work? When do you pause and reset? When do you step back to think? Don't assume you'll fit it in. Block it out. Give each priority a place on purpose. Because if something matters, it deserves space in your schedule. And if it doesn't appear on the calendar, it usually gets lost. End-of-day structure matters too. Too many people fall asleep saying, "I'll fix everything tomorrow." Don't repeat that loop. Instead, give yourself a closing ritual: 10 minutes to reflect, reset, and line up the next step. Just answering 3 questions. What worked? What didn't? What needs adjusting can reshape your direction. This isn't rigidity. It's alignment. When your actions reflect your vision, life becomes less chaotic and more intentional. You stop drifting. You start building. Each block of time becomes part of something bigger. So write it down. Sketch your routine: morning, midday, evening. Keep it minimal. Keep it intentional. But above all, keep it consistent. Repetition builds rhythm. Rhythm creates momentum. You've already defined who you're becoming. Now support that version of you with a plan they can follow. 30 days of consistent execution can reset your entire trajectory. Structure won't just appear. You create it. Start today. Number 4. Build unbreakable discipline. If you're serious about changing your life in the next 30 days, relying on motivation won't be enough. Motivation comes and goes, and it rarely shows up when things get hard. That's why discipline matters more. Discipline is what makes you move forward even when the energy isn't there. It's what gets you out of bed when you don't feel like it. What pulls you back on track when distractions try to pull you off course. The mistake most people make: they wait for motivation to return before they take action. But people who actually transform understand this. Discipline creates momentum, not the other way around. If you're waiting to feel ready, you'll keep waiting. You'll delay, you'll negotiate, and your old patterns will win. So instead of chasing the perfect mindset, anchor yourself to a few rules. Simple, clear, non-negotiable. For example, I train every morning at 7 a.m., whether I feel like it or not. I write 1 page a day, no matter what. I never scroll before finishing my top task. These aren't restrictions, they're structure, and structure protects you from your weaker impulses. When your day is built on personal standards, not feelings, you stop breaking promises to yourself. Every time you follow through, you build proof. Proof that you can trust your own word. Proof that you follow through. And that belief that you are dependable becomes a source of quiet confidence. Here's the truth. Discipline isn't about being harsh with yourself. It's about deciding which actions move you forward and then doing them regardless of mood. When the voice in your head says, "Just skip it today," discipline is the part of you that answers back, "No, we don't do that anymore." And with every one of those decisions, your identity shifts. You're no longer someone who needs conditions to be ideal. You're someone who shows up anyway. And after 30 days of that kind of repetition, you won't just see change, you'll feel different. You'll carry yourself with certainty. Because you'll have earned it rep by rep, hour by hour, habit by habit. You don't need to become extreme. You need to become consistent. Let your discipline lead, and a month from now, you'll realize you've built something no setback can shake. Number 5. Fuel your body, sharpen your mind. Your energy is your engine. No matter how clear your goals are, you won't reach them if you're constantly running on empty. Mental sharpness, emotional resilience, and follow-through all depend on one thing: how well you fuel your body. That's why physical habits are part of this 30-day shift. Not because you're chasing aesthetic goals, but because your body is the foundation for every decision you make. Start with the basics. Hydration, nutrition, movement, rest. If those 4 are ignored, everything else suffers. When you skip meals, your focus drops. When you stay dehydrated, your mood tanks. When you sit too long, your clarity dulls. When you don't sleep, your discipline cracks. You already know this, but knowing isn't enough. You have to act on it daily. That doesn't mean you need a perfect meal plan or a 2-hour workout routine. It means intentional input. It means replacing chaos with rhythm. Start drinking water as soon as you wake up. Build your meals around real fuel, not sugar spikes and crashes. Move your body every day, even just a walk or a quick stretch session. Protect your evenings. Turn off the noise. Get to bed early, not just when you're exhausted, but as a commitment to the next day. This isn't about being strict. It's about being strategic. Because when your body is cared for, your mind performs better. You react slower to stress. You think more clearly. You choose more deliberately. And you begin to feel more in control, not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. Every workout, every early night, every clean meal, it all adds up. Not as punishment, but as reinforcement. I take myself seriously. You don't need to become an athlete. You need to become consistent with the basics. That's where energy comes from. And when you have energy, everything else becomes easier to manage. So treat your physical state as part of your strategy, not an afterthought. Because if your body breaks down, your momentum does too. Build strength, build stamina, build sharpness. You'll need all 3 for the version of you you're becoming. Number 6. Turn goals into systems. Ambitious goals can be inspiring, but they often feel too big to act on. It's simple to say, "I want to be in shape," or "I want to launch something new," or "I want a fresh start." But if that's as far as you go, the idea never becomes real. It stays distant, unclear, and unattainable. That's why the key is breaking big goals into smaller daily tasks. Not vague hopes, but actions you can actually take each day that push you forward. Think of your main objective as the endpoint, but those small steps are the path that gets you there. You don't have to reach the summit in a day, just take the next clear step. Once you view it that way, progress feels doable. You stop expecting dramatic breakthroughs and start committing to steady, visible effort. Take the example of losing weight. That's your overall vision. But your daily checklist might include drinking enough water, walking 30 minutes, and eating clean meals. Those are actions you can monitor. They're easy to measure, and they're realistic to complete day in, day out. It works the same for saving money, learning new skills, or building your mindset. Whatever goal you choose, split it into daily actions that you can start doing now. This creates 2 major effects. First, you build momentum. Each time you complete what you said you'd do, you reinforce trust in yourself. And that consistency builds belief that you'll follow through again tomorrow. Second, it eliminates uncertainty. You no longer wake up unsure of your next move because it's already clear. All that's left is to do the work. And that's where transformation actually happens, not when you dream about the goal, but when you commit to repeating small, important tasks. The people who make it don't just set ambitious targets. They master the habit of showing up daily for the small pieces. And one day, they look up and realize they've built the life others only imagined. Here's your move. Choose the one big thing you want to accomplish. Then translate it into 2 or 3 concrete daily habits. Make them so specific that there's no gray area. You either did it or you didn't. At the end of the day, review your progress. If you missed, adjust. If you hit stack, the next win. This method sharpens your attention. It grounds your actions in the present while still moving you toward your long-term goal. And it guarantees that each day of this 30-day reset adds value even when visible change feels slow. Because success doesn't come in a flash. It's built one action at a time. So convert your goals into targets. Then hit those targets like everything depends on it, because it just might. That's how real change starts, not later, but right now, through one simple focused task at a time. Number 7. Use pain as a push. Pain isn't working against you. It may actually be your strongest advantage if you know how to work with it. Most people react to pain by running from it. They bury it, ignore it, or pretend it's not there. But the discomfort you're carrying has a purpose. It's pointing to a lesson. It's trying to move you in a better direction. What it needs isn't rejection. It needs your attention. Pain always appears when something inside you isn't aligned. It might show up as disappointment over wasted time. It might feel like frustration from being stuck, or regret for not living up to your own potential. No matter how it appears, pain is a message. It's your wake-up call, telling you there's more for you to become. If you learn to accept that signal instead of resisting it, pain becomes fuel. Almost every real change starts from a place of discomfort. Not when life is smooth, but in the moment you say, "I'm done with this. I can't stay here anymore." That pressure in your chest, the tension you feel at night, the restlessness that won't leave. That isn't weakness. It's your turning point. If you stop running from it and choose to move through it, everything changes. Stop asking why it hurts. Start asking what the pain is revealing. Is it exposing a pattern you need to break? A line you should have drawn? A goal you've been too afraid to admit? Whatever the pain is pointing at, listen. Don't let it defeat you. Let it drive you. The most resilient people you know didn't rise because life gave them ease. They rose because they used what hurt them as power. They turned setbacks into determination. They turned grief into fire. They turned shame into laser focus. And you can do the same. In the course of this 30-day transformation, pain will visit you. You'll feel exhausted. You'll feel old habits calling. You'll wonder if this is worth the effort. And when that happens, don't collapse. Don't hide. Look pain in the face and remember what it's here for. That struggle isn't your enemy, it's your edge. You don't need flawless strategy. You need a reason so strong, nothing pulls you off course. And nothing sharpens purpose like pain. It gives you urgency. It clears the noise. It fuels your next step. The shift begins when you stop avoiding pain and start using it. So when discomfort comes, rise with it. Let it remind you what matters. Let it push you harder. You weren't meant to stay comfortable. You were meant to grow beyond the limits. And every moment of pain you transform into action becomes proof. Not even your hardest days can stop you, especially not those days. Number 8. Cut the distractions ruthlessly. If you're serious about transforming your life in the next 30 days, you can't treat your focus casually. Distractions are deceptive. They don't derail you with one major blow. They dismantle your progress slowly and silently. A few minutes here, an hour there, until the day slips away. You're left drained, unfocused, and unclear, and you often don't even notice why. That's the danger distractions creep in quietly. You need to go beyond being selective. You need to become unapologetically strict. If something doesn't directly contribute to your progress, it's taking you off course, no exceptions. And it's not just about the obvious drains like social media or endless streaming. Sometimes, your biggest distractions look like useful tasks. Busy work that gives the illusion of productivity while pulling you from your real mission. You need to audit your time. Track exactly where your hours are going. What is constantly stealing your focus? Which people, habits, or triggers are interrupting your rhythm? List them, expose them, then choose, reduce, remove, or redesign them. This isn't the time to be polite about how you use your energy. This is the time to own it. If that means silencing all alerts, do it. If it means distancing yourself from people who drain you, do it. If it takes deleting apps, rearranging your space, or waking up earlier to create quiet, do that too. Your future is far too valuable to gamble away on things that offer you nothing in return. Distraction doesn't just waste time, it steals direction. Every moment you zone out, you fall out of alignment. You lose your sense of purpose. You drift. And the danger of drifting is that it often feels harmless, until months or years pass, and you're still where you started. But when you take focus seriously, you begin to gain speed. You think more clearly. You become more engaged. You complete what you begin. And that breeds confidence, not artificial hype, but the real kind that comes from self-command. Keep this in mind. You won't get these hours back. Every distracted moment is one you could have used to build your goals, sharpen your edge, or create a better tomorrow. So treat your time like it matters, because it does. And when you finally do, you'll notice something shift. The noise dies down, the overwhelm loosens its grip, and progress starts to feel steady again. You've already committed this much. Don't let scattered attention undo your effort. Cut the excess, clear the static, guard your focus. Because clarity doesn't come from a noisy life, it comes from a disciplined one. Remove the distractions and watch how quickly everything starts to move forward. Number 9. Build a wall around your mindset. If your mindset isn't protected, everything in your life will remain vulnerable. Every day your mind is exposed to noise, opinions, doubt, and negativity. Some of it comes from outside, but much of it comes from your own thoughts. That's why your mindset needs to be reinforced like a fortress. You can follow great habits, perfect your routines, and even surround yourself with strong influences. But if your inner world has cracks, pressure will eventually leak in and pull you backward. You must take full responsibility for what enters your mental space. That includes every word you hear, every conversation you engage in, and every piece of content you consume. Because what your mind takes in, it starts to believe. And what you believe, you begin to embody. Ask yourself, are you feeding your mind with strength or limitation? Are you focusing on what you can act on, or drowning in distractions and doubt? Every thought either reinforces your foundation or weakens it. That's why intentionality is essential. You must become disciplined. You must construct that mental wall. That doesn't mean shutting yourself off emotionally. It means filtering what gets your attention. If someone's constantly negative, draining, or derailing your focus, create boundaries. If the content you consume fills you with fear, confusion, or inadequacy, change what you watch and listen to. Your peace gives you power, and protecting that peace is on you. Now let's talk about self-talk, that internal voice that narrates your day. It matters more than most people realize. Every time you hear yourself think, "I'm not good enough," "this won't work," or "what's the point," stop. Interrupt it, question it, replace it. You can't let your mind become a breeding ground for doubt. Speak words that reinforce your strength, your vision, and your possibilities. Because what you say to yourself becomes the structure your identity is built upon. Mindset is the engine behind behavior. If your mental state is fragile, your goals won't stand a chance. But if your mind is fortified, if it's centered, focused, and firm, nothing will derail you. Not delays, not critics, not setbacks. Because you'll be rooted in who you are. And once you know that the world outside can't shake what's inside. For the next 30 days, guard your mental state as if your life depends on it, because it does. Begin each day with intention. Read something that sharpens your thinking. Listen to voices that uplift. Speak truths that build inner strength. And when negativity tries to enter, block it. You will be tested, but with a fortified mindset, you won't bend, you won't crumble. You'll remain centered, and that's when real change begins. Not because the world got easier, but because your mind became stronger. So today, raise the standard for what your mind accepts. Make that mental barrier firm, high, and clear. Because once your mindset can't be shaken, your life becomes unstoppable. Number 10. Track, reflect, and adjust. If you're not tracking what you're doing, you're not fully managing your progress. Without tracking, everything feels vague, like you're doing the work, but you don't really know what's working. And if you're not reviewing your performance, you're likely repeating the same mistakes without realizing it. That's why tracking and reflection aren't optional. They're the feedback loop that makes growth possible. This doesn't mean you need to micromanage your life. It just means you need a way to see where your time, energy, and focus are actually going. Because what gets measured gets adjusted, and what gets adjusted improves. Here's how to do it. At the end of each day, ask yourself, what did I do well today? What did I miss? What will I improve tomorrow? This simple 3-question check-in takes less than 5 minutes, but over time it rewires your brain to think in terms of awareness and adjustment. No more guessing, no more blind spots, just daily refinement. You can also use a simple scoreboard. Write down your 2 to 3 daily targets and check them off each night. Did you hit them? If yes, why did it work? If not, what got in the way? This creates clarity. It creates momentum. And it creates personal accountability, not to someone else, but to your own goals. Because discipline without review is fragile. It cracks under pressure, and you don't always notice until progress stalls. But discipline with review, that becomes durable. Because you're learning, you're adapting. You're not repeating yesterday's errors. You're evolving past them. And this doesn't just apply to bad days. It also sharpens good ones. When something works, you don't leave it to chance. You lock it in and build on it. That's how real change happens. Not by blindly pushing harder, but by checking your aim, adjusting your strategy, and staying honest about where you are. So don't just power through each day. Pause. Evaluate. Refine. Because the people who succeed aren't always the ones who try the hardest. They're the ones who pay attention and course correct before they drift too far. Success is not just about drive. It's about direction. Make time for both. Number 11. Create your inner circle. You can't do this alone, not if you want to sustain real change. Your environment either reinforces your growth or it erodes it. And nothing shapes your environment more than the people around you. That's why your inner circle matters, because who you surround yourself with influences how you think, how you act, and how you see yourself. If you're around people who normalize laziness, negativity, or excuses, you'll eventually absorb that. Even if you start strong, that weight pulls you back down. But when you're around those who push you to be better, who live with standards, who speak with purpose, who operate with discipline, you rise. Not through pressure, but through proximity. Because excellence is contagious. You don't need a huge circle. You need a solid one. A few people who challenge you when you slip, remind you of your goals, and hold you to what you said you'd do. This isn't about being perfect. It's about being aligned. So take inventory. Who do you spend the most time around? What do those conversations sound like? Are they helping you move forward or giving you permission to stay stuck? Your future deserves more than surface-level connection. It needs support. It needs accountability. It needs alignment. If someone drains your energy, constantly doubts your progress, or belittles your goals, that's not harmless. That's costly. And you don't need to cut everyone out. But you do need to consciously choose who gets access to your mind, your time, and your energy. Because those are your most valuable assets. You're not obligated to stay close to people just because you've known them a long time. Growth changes relationships, and that's not failure. That's evolution. The people meant for your future won't feel threatened by your growth. They'll respect it. They'll want to grow with you. So build your inner circle on shared values, not shared history. Surround yourself with those who remind you who you're becoming, not who you used to be. And if you don't have those people yet, be that person first. Raise your own standards. Speak truth. Lead by example. And you'll attract the kind of people who do the same. Number 12. Finish strong, don't ease up now. Most people start strong, energized by motivation, but fade as time goes on. The end of a challenge is when many begin to coast. They relax their standards and lose focus. But the final days, That's where the breakthrough happens. That's where growth sharpens. While others slow down, you're going to do the opposite. You're going to close this chapter with more intention than you started it. Because how you finish determines what comes next. If you bring your full focus and commitment, now that momentum will carry forward. But if you let yourself drift at the end, you teach your mind that finishing strong doesn't matter. And that's not the message you want to internalize. These last few days aren't about coasting. They're about elevating. Dial in your routine. Push harder in your workouts. Be sharper in your choices. Track everything. Protect your mindset like it's sacred. Because this is the cementing phase. The identity you've been building over the past weeks. This is where it locks in. You're no longer the person who began this. You've grown. Now prove it with action. Don't just glance at the calendar and think I'm almost done. Look in the mirror and say, I'm just getting started. Let this final push become your standard. Not just for the next few days, but for how you live from here on out. You might feel tempted to let up, to celebrate early, to relax. But every day you finish strong becomes evidence. Proof that you're serious. And that proof builds belief. Belief shapes identity. Identity creates lasting action. Take a deep breath. Focus. This is your moment. Finish with strength, intention, and pride. Because the way you close this 30-day journey, that's the opening to your next chapter. You've just walked through a 30-day plan. You didn't just follow a program. You rewrote how you show up for yourself. You built something deeper than a routine. You built a new rhythm for your life. If you've made it this far, it's because something inside you refused to settle. You weren't looking for easy. You were looking for transformation. And transformation only comes through consistency, clarity, and commitment. Let's be clear. This journey wasn't about perfection. It was about showing up even when it felt uncomfortable. It was about making the decision to grow when quitting would have been easier. The work you've done has changed how you think, how you act, how you carry yourself. This isn't temporary change. This is the foundation of a new identity. But it doesn't stop here. This is just the beginning. Day 30 isn't the end. It's the ignition. You now have the tools, the proof, and the mindset. The only question left is, will you keep going? Everything you've built over the past month isn't a seasonal routine. It's a lifelong advantage. So protect it, strengthen it, keep choosing it. Don't let this be another thing you finish. Let it be the moment everything changed. Because momentum only lasts if you sustain it. Don't wait for another surge of motivation. Create your own. Don't look for shortcuts. Stay grounded in the path you've chosen. You earned your progress. You proved what's possible. So now, carry that fire forward. And when things get hard again, because they will go back to what you built here, return to these habits, these principles, these truths. Reset, refocus, restart if needed, but never retreat. Because the person you're becoming, they don't back down. They finish strong. And then they rise again. The next level of your life is waiting. And now you're ready. Thank you for walking through this journey with clarity, strength, and intention. If this message helped you stay focused or rise above your limits, consider sharing it with someone else who's ready to rise too. And if you're serious about building a stronger mind and a sharper life, subscribe to Clarity Jutsu. We'll be here every step, every climb, every level.